Hey, Ms. Bahak here, and in this video, I wanted to share 7 quick ways that you can avoid really awkward moments with your guest if you're on a podcast. It's not really just about avoiding the awkward moments for yourself. It's also about making sure that, you save the listener and the guest from having to feel that as well. So number 1 is to do a pre-interview. Hop on a 15-minute call with them just to kind of build some rapport, get the small talk out of the way, break the ice, and that way when you guys hop on your actual episode, maybe it's the next day or a couple days later or a week later, at least this is your second time meeting and there's just this feeling of, oh, okay, I know this person a little bit. Number 2 is to talk to the guest on the day of the recording. Okay, do it for 5 to 10 minutes. Reserve that space. If you book them for an hour, allot for 5 to 10 minutes of small talk, whatever it is, weather, where you calling out of, things they're excited about, what made you excited to even talk to them. All of these things will basically break the ice and allow you to ease into the actual conversation much easier. The jitters will be a little bit out of the way. I've actually been invited on a podcast where as soon as I entered the room, the Zoom room, it was like I was on air and it was just a little bit jarring. So it really showed me the power of the first 5 to 10 minutes being able to chat. Number 3 is to use the power of editing. Okay, that's why it's there. You don't have to actually trim out stuff in between if you don't want to, but just knowing that you have that tool and that skill available to you gives you so much freedom when you actually talk, right? It's not just like, oh man, this one attempt, everything is on the line here. You can actually be free and explore some of your thoughts, knowing that, hey, nobody has to hear them. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want quick editing tips, because I would love to make your life easier in that way. Number 4 is to let them know what to do if there's an interference, especially if you are recording on Zoom and something, starts to go, whether it's their internet or yours, can really throw off the conversation and it can make your editing a nightmare. So something easy that you can do is tell them, hey, let's just keep looking at the camera, pretend like we're still having a conversation, breathe, and continue talking, right? And in the cleanup afterwards, it's a little bit easier for you to chop up parts where it's like, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Instead of doing too much of that, you're able to actually clean it up. But more importantly than cleaning it up, it's just the guest's state of mind and like that rumble that goes on in their brain, like, oh no, I messed up, or oh no, something's wrong. And then everything closes up, right? So you want to keep them open and relaxed and just give them a heads up. If something happens, don't worry about it. This is the fire drill. Number 5, send questions over beforehand. This isn't my favorite, but it helps some people feel really comfortable and relaxed. And so if your guest is one of them and it helps them do so, then go ahead and send it over. And not just the guest, but it may help you feel a little bit more organized, right? That always helps translate to a better conversation for your listeners too, where you have questions maybe that you keep in your back pocket that you've thought about before. Number 6, don't just ask questions. This is a really common misconception. If you're just asking questions, it's kind of giving the guest a lot of responsibility. So lead with just statements sometimes. Give your thoughts on what they just said and then stop talking. Pause. And you'll be surprised at what they pick up and feel the natural need to fill the space and then jump in to elaborate on some of your thoughts or clarify what they said as well. So that can be a really good back and forth instead of just constantly throwing them questions. And I think on a podcast, unless that's your goal is to be a great interviewer, you don't want to do that. This also makes it feel less like a interrogation and more kind of just like two friends hanging out. Number 7 is for you to know the in and out of your conversation. How are you going to get into it? How are you going to get out of it? This makes it way less clunky because, you might say, oh, thanks for coming on. Yep. Thank you for having me on. Nope. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. And it's just like a back and forth that you can easily avoid by just thinking about what you're going to say. I like to think, open up with why you have the guest on and what excited you about them. You don't have to do this always, but the in that I recommend is to just share why you're excited to have them on. I've had multiple guests, behavior profilers as well, say, oh man, I just really took a sigh of relief when, you didn't ask me, oh, like, what's your story or tell me about yourself. You really took the lead there. So people appreciate that. And then the out for the conversation is just, hey, where can I point people to? Where can we support what you're doing? Something along those lines. And that also gives the guest that, hey, okay, it's coming up to a close. We're wrapping things up. And then it's just, hey, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And then maybe they do one thank you and then stop the recording. And remember, you can always cut that stuff off in the editing as well. But just knowing how you're going to get in and out is going to make things a lot less awkward for the both of you. Number 8 is to let the guests know if it's going to be video or audio only, because if they have an idea of if it's going to be video, they'll be prepared. You'd be surprised at the amount of people who just show up and are surprised by the fact that we're actually recording and we're going to do clips and things like that. So just giving somebody a heads up, makes them feel, oh, okay, maybe I'll shower beforehand. Maybe I'll put on my real pants. So that's it. 8 quick ways that you can immediately implement to have way less awkward conversations and cringy moments. Don't be hard on yourself. It's going to happen. We all are awkward and we need to embrace those quirks, I think, but you don't want it to disrupt the rest of the flow and the quality of your conversation. So to do that, I hope some of these strategies help today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want more tips and tricks on, starting a podcast that people actually enjoy and listen to. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this one, check out some of these other cool videos too. I think you'd really love it.